Welcome to my YouTube channel, Dr. Mohan Digilan. Today, we are going to learn regarding the life process. In this, the first topic is nutrition. So, let us see what is the nutrition. See, all the living things that perform certain life process like growth, excretion, respiration, circulation, and reproduction, etc. So this is so common whenever you say that the living organism. So all this process it will takes place continuously, and when the energy is required to carry out the different life process, whenever we want to carry out any our body want to carry out any the life process, it is obtained from the carbon based food sources through the nutrition. Okay, so the food it consists of carbon which is be obtained during the nutrition process. So there are two modes of nutrition we have. So as you have observed in the environment, that is, one is the autotrophic nutrition. So autotrophic nutrition, in the sense, auto is nothing but self. Okay, so it always refers to the green plants which prepare their own food. So it's a kind of nutrition in which the organism prepare its own food by a process called photosynthesis. So photo in nothing but light. So in presence of light, the green plants they prepare their own food, which is known as autotrophic nutrition. So, for example, green plants and some photosynthetic bacteria, they can prepare their own food which comes under autotrophic nutrition. If you go to the heterotrophic nutrition, it is a kind of nutrition in which an organism takes food from another organism. So, here in the heterotrophic nutrition, so the organisms they cannot prepare their own food and they depend upon the other sources for the energy. So it is called as heterotrophic nutrition. Okay, so the example is animals and fungi, they get their the nutrition from the other sources. It is of three types: holozoic nutrition, in which the amoeba which gets the food, so which is a holozoic nutrition. In the saprophytic nutrition, especially the fungi, they get their own food by the depending upon the dead and decaying organisms. That's why it is called as saprophytic nutrition. And the parasites like scuta, ticks, and mites, they get their the energy by the parasitic nutrition. Okay, so that is the different types of nutritions are there. So this is all the three types we discussed here. If you go for the nutrition in plants, so carbon and energy requirements of the autotrophic organism are fulfilled by the photosynthesis. I told you that the photosynthesis it takes place in presence of a light. So it is the process by which the autotrophs take in substance from the outside and convert them into the stored forms of energy. So this material is taken in the form of carbon dioxide, water, which is converted into carbohydrates in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So this is the general the scheme of the photosynthesis process, in which carbon dioxide is involved, water is involved, and the reaction will take place in presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, which give rise to the glucose, which is nothing but a carbohydrate. Along with that, oxygen is also liberated as a byproduct along with water molecules. So this is all about the photosynthesis process. So what is the step involved in the photosynthesis process? Let us understand. Okay, so in the photosynthesis process, the absorption of light energy by chlorophyll it will takes place. So chlorophyll it will help for the trapping of the light, so which will be done by the green pigments called chlorophyll. So the conversion of light energy into chemical energy will takes place. So and the splitting up of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen will also takes place in the photosynthesis process. So it is a reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. So since you get the glucose, as I told you, it is a carbohydrate. It is obtained by the reduction of carbon dioxide, and then finally it will be converted into carbohydrate. So let us go for exchange of gases during the photosynthesis process. So in this massive amount of the gaseous exchange will takes place in the leaves through tiny pores called stomata for the purpose of photosynthesis. So in the meantime, so the plants, they will exchange the large amount of gases. There will be a small holes which are called as the stomata, so which will be used for the purpose of photosynthesis. The plant closes these pores when it does not need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. We have to understand this point because the plant does not want the carbon dioxide throughout the day. So whenever it is required for the photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide intake, it will be done when the pores, it will open. So whenever it is not at all required, the pores, it will get closed. That is the mechanism involved in this photosynthesis process. So the opening and closing of the pore is regulated by the guard cells. So the guard cells are there which will help for the opening and closing of the stomata, which exchange of the gases, it will takes place through that. See, the guard cells swell when the water flows into them, so causing the stomatal pore to open. Whenever the water enter into the stomata, then only the guard cells, they will open, and similarly close the pore, it will be closed when the guard cells shrink. So whenever water flows back, it will strengthen and it will close. So this is actual takes place here. So this is the actual the stomata. So as I told you, the open stomata, it looks like this. There will be a guard cells. So the guard cells, whenever the water flows into these guard cells, it will open. Whenever the water, it flows back, it will closes like this. So this is the closed stomata, wherein the seizing of the gases, it will takes place. The flow of gases will not be there when it is closed. So this is the mechanism involved in the opening and closed stomata. If you go for the activity to demonstrate the chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis, because we know that the chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. So let us demonstrate how much the chlorophyll is important for photosynthesis. So take a potted plant with a variegated leaves. For example, money plant or crotons can be taken, okay, in order to study how much the chlorophyll is important for the photosynthesis process. Keep the plant in a dark room. So we have to keep the plant in a dark room for 3 days so that all the starch gets used up. So whenever you use the dark room, so when you keep the plants in the dark room, what happens? There will be utilization of the starch which is there inside, so by the plant. Now keep the plant in sunlight for about 6 hours. So after keeping in the dark room, it has to be kept in the sunlight for 6 hours. Now you have to pluck a leaf from the plant, mark the green areas in it, and trace them on a sheet of paper. So you have to mark it and you have to trace on the paper. So test a leaf for the presence of starch. If you test, then only parts which were green previously turn blue black with iodine. So because of the presence of that, so that the blue black, it will the with the iodine, it will turn off. So this shows that a chlorophyll is necessary for the photosynthesis. So this is the before and after the reaction. So the equally the poise of the chlorophyll, if it is there, it will give the positive taste, otherwise no. So this demonstrates that the chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis.